Hi and welcome to Outwell and to the Denver 6 from the Privilege collection. You can see here it's a large tunnel design tent which is aimed to sleep up to 6 people. We have 2 bedrooms across the back area here, a good sized sealed living space and a large front canopy as well, all of which we will show you in detail shortly, but first of all I want to talk you through the details on the outside of the tent. So to start off with, the fly sheet that we're using on here is our Outtex 4000. So this is a top quality polyester material which has been fully PU coated on the inside. All of the seams are fully taped as well, and that gives this tent a hydrostatic head of 4,000 millimeters, ensuring that it is completely waterproof. It's also fire retardant and has been UV treated as well, so it should last a good long time. In terms of the frame that we're using on here, we have actually got a bit of a split in terms of poles. So you can see from here to the back of the tent, we're using our Duratec fiberglass poles that look just like this here. So you see these look a little bit different. That's because these are built to be a little bit more resilient than your standard black fiberglass poles. These won't break quite as easily. What you will also then find is that we have 2 steel poles at the front of the tent which are for this large canopy, which just ensures that even in slightly stronger winds, this is going to be a good secure fastening. You will also find that we colour code the sleeves as well, just to make sure that when you're pitching it, it's as simple as it can be. We do use our wind stabilizer system on this tent as well. So this is an innovative system that allows us again to have a really solid and stable structure in high wind conditions, and I'll talk you through how that works. When you're setting the tent up, all you have to do is just take these Velcro tabs here and wrap them around the poles like this and fasten into position. You'll find that there's one at the top and at the bottom of all the poles around the side sort of living part of the tent here, and this is where we have the guy lines attached. So how it actually works is when we take the guy lines out and peg them into position, it pulls a whole fly sheet against the frame of the tent, making it much more taut and therefore much more stable, as I say, in those higher wind conditions. The guy lines themselves, you'll see, are all our classic luminous guy lines here, so nice and easy to spot if it's a little bit darker. And they each also have their own retainer, so when it comes to packing down the tent, you'll just see here that we have this loop of Velcro that we can roll the guy lines up and pop into here, so that next time we come to use the tent, these are going to be easily accessible. In terms of ventilation, there is plenty of ventilation within the tent. We have our air-effective vents on the side here, so you can see a kind of nice sleek and streamlined vent. And underneath here, there is a mesh panel. And once we go round to the inside of the tent, we'll also show you that we do have mesh doors within here as well. So round the front of the tent is a really, really good feature of this tent because we have this really large canopy. At the bottom of it, I just want to highlight that we do have a mud valance on here, which is just going to allow water to run down and away from the inside of the tent. But when we get round to the front here, you'll just see how generous a space and generous covering this canopy gives you. It really is a really good size, so it's going to be ideal to be able to sit in here. Even on a drizzly day, there's certainly enough space for a good few chairs in here, or if you're lucky enough, of course, for it to be a really sunny day, you're going to get a good amount of shade in here as well. Also quite a good area for cooking if you're out in the front, in the middle here as well. So the front of the tent, you can see here, has a good size front door, so it's actually a D-door in style, so it just zips around and rolls to the side, allowing easy access in and out of the tent. And with it being a good size, of course, that is going to mean that getting all of your kit in and out of the tent is going to be nice and easy as well. The door itself has 2 parts to it. So on the outside, of course, you have this waterproof door, which we have rolled away at the moment. But then just behind that, you can see that we also have rolled away a full mesh door, which I mentioned earlier on, which is going to allow for really good through ventilation because the tent also has 2 side entrances, each of which have a full mesh door as well. So just before we go back into the tent, I do just want to highlight that this canopy area at the front does have a good lantern hanging position right in the middle here. So if you are sitting out here and it's a little bit darker, there is a place to be able to hang your lantern. So stepping back into the tent, one thing that should be really apparent is just how much space there is in here. You know, we have a couple of good sized chairs and a table and a cupboard in here, and there's still plenty of space. There's certainly enough head height in here for quite tall people. I'm around 1.95 meters, and you can see I can stand up in the middle here, no problem whatsoever. This whole living area from that front door all the way to the back and side to side is also fully sealed. This ground sheet is a bathtub ground sheet that comes up around the edges all the way around here. So as I say, fully sealed, not allowing any drafts in, keeping out things like dirt, dust and sand, and more importantly, hopefully keeping out those unwanted creepy crawlies as well. So within this area there's plenty of features to talk you through as well, but just before I go into the smaller details, one thing that should be quite apparent as well is how much light there is in this tent, and that's because we have large windows all the way around us here, allowing lots of light in here, making it feel even more spacious. What you will find is each window does have its own curtain. Now we just have it rolled away at the moment at the bottom here, but what you can do is unroll this up to a halfway point just to give you that little bit more privacy if you're sitting eating, or of course you can close it over completely if you want to. So then just above the window you'll see here, this is the mesh panel that I mentioned on the outside, which corresponds to our air effective vent on the outside of the tent. In the centre here you will see there is another lantern hanging point for inside, which is of course in a good central location, and running away both sides from that you will find cable tidies, and if you just follow this side down, what you will see is that this comes down to where we have our cable entry point just here. So this is where we have the zip just next to the door to allow us to bring any cables into the tent whilst being able to keep this door closed. So while I'm here, I will just highlight again that the tent does have two side entrances, and as I mentioned, it does also have mesh doors on here as well, so a great amount of ventilation. You can see we have this one rolled up at the moment, and this one is fully zipped down into place, so you can see here, as I say, it's going to give you good ventilation and hopefully keep out those unwanted bugs. So at the back of the tent is where you'll find the bedrooms, and as I mentioned before, this tent can sleep up to 6 people. A really nice feature of these bedrooms is they actually come pre-attached, so it's a job that you don't need to worry about, they're already in place for you. Some features on the outside then, you can see we have these handy storage pockets on the outside, and the bedroom doors themselves do have a mesh panel at the top as well, again just for good ventilation within the bedrooms. Inside the bedrooms we have plenty of good features as well, including these handy storage pockets along both sides here, ideal for smaller personal possessions. Across the back you'll see we have a large ventilation panel, which again corresponds to panels on the outside fly sheet that you can open up. And you also then have this full dividing sheet in the middle here, which has a zip at the front and at the back to allow you to roll that up and toggle into position if you wanted to create one large sort of sleeping space across the back, or of course you can have it as we have here, as the two separate bedrooms. So we do have a couple of optional extras available for this tent, which would include the flat woven carpet that you can see in here at the moment. That's just going to give you a little bit better insulation underfoot, and of course that little bit more comfort as well. And there is also a footprint available to go under the tent as well, which is going to be great for those wet and muddy pitches, and that's going to keep your ground sheet nice and clean and dry. So there you have it then, that's all the features of the Denver 6 from the Privilege collection. Thank you very much for watching.